Welcome to Moonshot Radio with your host, Dr. Nivea Torres.
Greetings and welcome to Moonshot Radio, where every moment is an opportunity to learn. I'm your host, Nivea Torres, Executive Director of the Kindergarten Readiness Collaborative, also known as KRC. Our vision is that all children in Indian River County will be ready for kindergarten. We proudly partner with the Moonshot Moment, who is transforming the next generation in Indian River County by having 90% of all students reading on grade level by the third grade. With me today in the studio is Debbie Arsenal from the Learning Alliance. Debbie, welcome.
Hi.
I'm glad to have you, Debbie, because we're here to talk about a very exciting program. But before we get to that, we want to make sure that all of our viewers and listeners know about the Learning Alliance and its mission here in Indian River County. What can you share with us?
Well, thank you so much for having me today to come talk about a few of my favorite things. And one of those is actually working for the Learning Alliance. The Learning Alliance is a nonprofit focused on early literacy outcomes. So as launchers of the Moonshot Moment, our 90% literacy goal, we're really about how do we create compassionate, literate, creative citizens who will improve our world. And we believe that literacy is the gateway to making that happen. So we know that literacy by third grade is the turning point. So you read to learn until that point, and then you learn to read, and then you can read to learn. So we're really focused on those early years, those K1, 2 years. And so the work of KRC, getting kids ready for kindergarten, and then we work alongside community partners to energize families, to bring families and community partners together to support literacy outcomes. We train teachers and do professional development to make sure that they can reach and teach all of their students. And we provide extended learning opportunities for the students to grow in support of the school district and our literacy goals there.
And the Learning Alliance really has created such momentum in Indian River County around literacy. And like you said, you partner not only with the school district, but with so many other organizations like KRC and other nonprofits to really create and generate that interest in literacy from early on, right?
Yeah.
Since they're babies up until third grade and beyond, to make sure that they're lifelong learners and readers. Debbie, what exactly is your role at the Learning Alliance?
So my role is inside of the professional development work largely. So I'm our Moonshot Institute professional development PD manager. So I do a lot of the training with the teachers, a lot of the support of the work that they do with the students. And my background is actually in theater. I was a professional theater director for a long time in Washington, D.C. And so through that work, I became an arts integration specialist. And so I bring that work here to work with our teachers to help them unlock the skills with their students to make it so they can read.
And I believe that is so enjoyable for teachers to make that connection with you through professional development, so that their lessons are very engaging and exciting for their students. So let's talk a little bit about this very unique project that you're working on with teachers around professional development. And it's called Deep Dive into the Lagoon Through Literacy?
So this Deep Dive into the Lagoon Through Literacy is a community partnership event. So we're sort of, this is where I get to go back into my arts integration house more so than the PD house. So the less professional development, more about how do we get kids excited about reading? How do we bring the community together around literacy? If literacy is the ability to read, write, speak, and communicate, how do we give kids a reason to read and a reason to communicate through giving them hands-on opportunities around topics that really matter? You know, the lagoon is at the heart of our community, and caring for the lagoon, understanding the nature of the lagoon and our interaction with it is a huge part of life in Indian River County. So for our families and our students to understand that literacy is a gateway to understanding that and understanding how can we take action, that was sort of how this project came to be. Through the Moonshot Community Action Network, or MCAN for short, when we bring together these community partners in service of the Moonshot Moment, we started having a conversation, myself and a few others from the Learning Alliance, along with Missy Weiss of See a Difference and Orca, both environmentally oriented organizations locally. And we started talking about how can we really make visible the connection between literacy and the lagoon, and how learning to read helps drive us to action, and how understanding the importance of that can then drive us back into reading. So this dialogue between literacy and the Lagoon launched this initiative that we're calling Deep Dive into the Lagoon through literacy. And this event is really hopefully a kickoff or a larger conversation around the intersection of these two ideas.
And Debbie, we were talking earlier about local residents and really being able to create excitement around taking care of the lagoon. So as a local resident, why is this event and caring for the lagoon important for us? And you were sharing some insights with me.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that, I've certainly learned quite a lot simply by being in the space with incredible experts who are doing, we have so many local organizations who are committed to caring for our lagoon, to environmental stewardship, to educating the public, all ages, around what can we do to care for our lagoon and why does that matter? Everything from it's a recreation, source of recreation. We go out on the water, we enjoy being out on the water whenever and wherever possible, but also that's an economic piece of our community as well, right? And that there are people who make their living and their lives in and around the water. And so when we are not necessarily making the smartest choices, and a lot of it is due to lack of awareness of how our actions impact the lagoon, as simple as cleaning up litter. Because when things find their way into the ground, they find their way into the water. And when they find their way into the water, they might find their way into the worlds of the creatures that live there. The examples of straws showing up in turtles' noses and the noses of dolphins getting stuck in the six-pack rings. And, it was a Florida student actually who designed what is now available as a biodegradable six-pack ring. So and that's a result of giving real-world challenges, like how do we care for our lagoon? How do we stop the problem of litter? How do we address the challenges of pollution runoff? And because all waterways lead to the lagoon, whether you live on it or adjacent to it or not, all waterways do lead to our local lagoon and to our oceans. So it can be as simple as picking up trash. It can be a little more complicated, things like restoring oyster beds. Oysters are nature's filtration device, and they filter the water so that it becomes a space in which the animals can thrive again. When the animals and the fish are thriving, the economy that depends on catching the fish and eating the fish and selling the fish. It's all connected. And in the school setting, we talk with students about interdependence and how animals and living things depend on each other. And so students are tasked with reading articles and comprehending text on these topics. So why not make real world connections so that it brings the learning to life? When they understand this isn't just a task or an activity in the classroom, that this is something that affects my real world, my life, my backyard, my neighbors, my family. That connection is really what we're going for in this deep dive into the lagoon through literacy.
This learning is really here. It's home for the students. Now, Debbie, talk to us a little bit about the integration of literacy and a book title in particular that you're going to use for this event.
Yeah, so I brought a copy of the book with us. So one of the things that we as the Learning Alliance do, of course, is everything is tied to literature or to text. And so we came across this book called Mermaid Meg and the Magic Lagoon. Let's see if I can show it up here, by an author named Leslie Maloney. And it turns out Leslie Maloney lives in Brevard, and she lives just to our north. And she wrote this book as a way of engaging children in some of these challenges and some of these questions around environmental stewardship. So it was great. It's actually a really sweet story. We had come across this book through Orca. We was talking with Dr. Edie Witter and the staff there, and they said, "Have you seen this book?" And we thought, "Oh, local's great." And I thought, "Oh, let me reach out to the author. I'll let her know that we're thinking about using her book for a workshop." We put it into our after school program, so all of the kids who were part of Moonshot Academy, which is our after-school program for kids in a number of schools in New York County, they've all been exposed to this book already. So it was about a year ago. So I reached out to the author. I said, "Hey, we're thinking about using a book." She said, "That's amazing, because I'm thinking about how I can create lessons to work with younger students." She had developed lessons for older students, and we were talking about the K-2 space. So she actually came to our workshop. She spoke with the teachers. So we've really been in dialogue with her and in communication with her for the last year and a half or so. So when this opportunity came up, I said, "Okay, well, Mermaid Meg needs to be our anchor text text. It's local, it's authentic, it's, everything that we really need to be thinking about here. And so we gave the text to a number of different organizations, partner organizations that are going to be a part of the event. So See a Difference, the Solid Waste Disposal of Indian River County, the Ocean Research Conservation Association, ORCA, Marine Resources Council. I don't want to leave anybody out. I'm sure that I am, but there are a few others. The Environmental Learning Center, the ELC, are all doing activities inspired by this text. So oyster filtration activity, for example, how might we filter out the bad stuff from the water? How can we replant and tend oyster beds? What are the impacts of pollution and pesticide runoff, and what does that do in a hands-on way? And also really asking the question, what can we do about it? Mm-hmm. So these organizations that are committed to environmental stewardship and caring conservation of the lagoon are using this text to anchor and inspire the activities that will be available on the May 11th Deep Dive in Lagoon Through Literacy event.
So we want to make sure that folks who are listening or watching, if they're interested in getting a copy of Mermaid Meg, that we know the author's name. And could you share that with us?
Yeah, her name is Leslie Kitty Maloney, and the book is Mermaid Meg and the Magic Lagoon. And also working on getting the book into the local book center as well, so that we can have more copies available.
And without revealing the entire storyline, Mermaid Meg and the overall message of the book, what would that be, Debbie?
Well, so Mermaid Meg has lived in the magical Indian River Lagoon her whole life, and it's a beautiful place. But then over time, she starts to notice it's getting a little dirtier and a little cloudier, and it's really impacting her friends, the dolphins, and her friends, the manatees. And so she wonders, what can she do about this? And so she comes and she speaks to the community, and the community's all together in one place on a beautiful day on the lagoon. And she starts to tell them about some of the things that they could consider taking action around protecting the lagoon to bring the magic back. And in fact, even the mayor is present in the lagoon there, and we're going to have a special guest, Mayor Zudanzas, can come perhaps do a read aloud of the story. And again, this idea that it's really up to all of us together as a community to care for our community. So that's the story of Mermaid Meg, and we'll even have a real live mermaid reading the story. So we've got the East Coast Florida mermaid coming, and she will be doing a read aloud as well as the author Leslie Maloney. So we're really layer upon layer of a gift that is this book.
We want to make sure before we head to our break that people know about the date and the time, Debbie. So the day for this event is?
I got that one too. So we're Saturday, May 11th from 10:30 to 1:30 at the main library in Indian River. So in Vero Beach, the main library location from 10:30 to 1:30 on Saturday, May 11th. It's free, family friendly. There's going to be a variety of not just environmental activities, but there's also going to be a mural painting, which we've connected to the Downtown Vero Mural Project. And I can tell a little bit more about that after the break. But so we're lots of opportunities for students and families to come together to dive into the lagoon through literacy.
Wonderful. We're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors, and we will be right back.
At the Kindergarten Readiness Collaborative, our vision is for every parent, regardless of income or zip code, to have the knowledge and tools they need to raise healthy children that are prepared for kindergarten. Our mission is to support our partners in developing a high-quality early childhood system that is family-centered. Our outreach and parent engagement specialists connect with families and build trusted relationships. KRC has chosen Fellsmere and Gifford as our two focus areas in Indian River County. Our Fellsmere office is located downtown in the City Annex, and our new Gifford office is located within Victory Park Apartments. Our administrative offices are now located adjacent to Healthy Start and Treasure Coast Community Health in Vero Beach. The Kindergarten Readiness Collaborative, developing a high-quality early childhood system for all children in Indian River County.
Everyday activities are great for finding moments for talking and teaching new words. Babies' brains grow 80% in the first 18 months of life. As parents and your baby's first teacher, you can help build their brain with language and literacy skills. Involve the whole family. Ask questions. The more words babies hear, the larger their vocabulary can grow. Support early childhood education by talking, reading, singing, and family engagement. This message has been brought to you by PNC Grow Up Great and the Florida Grade Level Reading Campaign.
Control needs. Call Compass Pest Control. Hi, I'm Chris Hudman, co-owner of Compass Pest Control. We're not your ordinary pest control company. We have over 60 years of local experience. We know service after the sale is the most important part of our business. Call us at 925-1740. That's 772-925-1740 or on the web at compasspests.com. That's compass, PESTS.com.
Hurry, Joey. I want to get there early to get the best stuff.
But we have to go to another garage sale. You do know there's a better way. You can get phenomenal stuff and great deals on almost everything at our Habitat Restore.
Hey, isn't that where you got your office desk?
Find great stuff at the renovated and expanded Indian River Habitat Restore on US 1 just north of 45th Street. Open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6. Donations of gently used stuff is always appreciated. Shop, donate, volunteer. Habitat Restore is a nonprofit.
The St. Lucie County School Board Summer Musical presents our 23rd annual summer show, Rogers and Hammerstein's Oklahoma, featuring a cast of 70 and a live orchestra. The show runs June 12th through June 16th with matinee and evening performances available. The shows will be presented at Port St. Lucie High School Auditorium for only $18 a ticket. Tickets are available now at Jay's Fine Jewelry in St. Lucie West, Joy's Ice Cream Plus in Port St. Lucie and Fort Pierce, Perkins US 1 in Port St. Lucie, and Honey Baked Ham, Oklahoma.
Take a new direction with
We're back to Moonshot Radio, where every moment is an opportunity to learn. I'm your host, Nivea Torres, Executive Director of KARC. And with me today in the studio is Debbie Arsenault from the Learning Alliance. Debbie, welcome back.
Thanks.
We were talking about this special event Saturday, May 11th at the library, 10:30 a.m., I believe?
10:30 to 1:30.
To 1:30. And right before the break, you started talking about what will take place.
Yeah.
And the mural. So I want to talk a little bit about integrating arts because you are an artist yourself. So talk to us a little bit about the mural concept.
Yeah. So one of the things we talked about when we started brainstorming, what does this dive into Lagoon through literacy look like? We know that literacy and learning about the Lagoon are deeply intertwined. One of the questions that we are asking ourselves is, how do we make visible our commitment as a community to caring for the Lagoon, right? And so the arts absolutely play a role in that, the visual arts in particular. And so we thought, well, let's do a mural. And not just hire an artist to do a mural, but we actually are working with Pam Summers, who is a teaching artist as well, and her medium is visual arts. And she also has a lot of experience working with young people. So we thought, well, how can we design something that really makes visible our collective commitment? So we've been working with, through Moonshot Academy, the Learning Alliance's after-school program, as well as programs provided at other early learning providers, the RCMA, Gifford Youth Achievement Center, the ELC have programs going with students. They're all Moonshot Community Action Network partners. And over the course of the last few months, they've done some work with this Mermaid Meg and the Magic Lagoon text, along with other texts related to mural making, to environmental stewardship. And so the art that they've been creating, Pam has been collecting, and she's going to take those individual works of art and synthesize them into something sort of comprehensive. And this is where I trust the visual artist's expertise. She's going to create something beautiful. In fact, the artwork on the flyer is her work. And then on the day of the event, anyone can come pick up a paintbrush and be a part of actually making that mural come to life. So we thought, how can we really have individual contributions to a collective project? And that was one way in which we did that. We also are going to have the amazing Moonshot Rocket, and Bridget Lyons will be there. So if you've seen the Moonshot Rocket cruising around town or at your local school, Bridget is creating an interactive experience. Again, arts lit based, arts literacy connection, because really through making, we make meaning. And so can we do that with our hands when we are deepening our skills with visual literacy? We're looking closely, we're deepening our thinking and our critical eye. So there are just so many different ways in which the arts, specifically the visual arts, and the art of making and the art of looking, that support literacy development, particularly early literacy development skills, because we start by speaking. We start through oral language, right? So dialogue, communication, connection, and then we move into decoding and picking print off of page, and that's an essential step in this puzzle. But what's the purpose of that without the meaningful application, which is what we're talking about in the Lagoon setting? So the arts just give us another pathway to making those connections, to making literacy meaningful, and giving students opportunities to practice the foundational skills that they're learning in school, that they're learning with their tutors, that they're learning in their extended learning spaces after school. Give them authentic opportunities to apply their learning. And this is one of those ways that we're doing that. So,
Debbie, I'm so glad you explained that, particularly for parents who might be tuning in. I think some folks sometimes think that you read a book and you just read a book, and you're really bringing the book to life because you're connecting it to home and to the context here and to the challenges that we have with the Lagoon. And you're taking it beyond that to integrate the art. So with summer coming around, I just want to ask you, parents, grandparents, folks who might have children at home, how do you integrate the arts into reading to make a book like this, like Mermaid Meg, come to life?
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many ways. I was just FaceTiming with my nephew last night and watching him. He's just over 3, reading to me. He's flipping through the pages, and you just asking questions, looking at the pictures, asking questions. What's going on here? What do you see? What does that make you think about? What do you wonder about what's going on here? What do you think is going to happen next? These are, when we start getting into the language of education and standards, these are making predictions and inferences. But with your 3-year-old, you can simply be having a conversation using the pictures and the art to help develop that sense of story that is naturally there. So then you could take it to the next level, make some art. It doesn't have to look great. It doesn't have to be perfect. But that idea of making meaning through making, right, through creating, put some finger paints on take some different colored Go-Gurts and put it on the table and mush it up, right? There's that multisensory opportunity to make meaning out of text, right? Make meaning out of a story, bring it to life. Use funny voices when you're reading a story so that students or young people or your children start to develop a sense of character, that there are different points of view, that different characters have different ways of seeing things. I mean, that's where the empathy and the compassion really starts to come to life. So, of course, that's my theater background. Act it out, always put it in your body. But between the visual arts and songs, music. Think about how can you sing with your child, right? Maybe there is a story that has a rhythm to it. Every Dr. Seuss book is a song waiting to happen, right? So think about rhythm and rhyme and repetition. These are the pre-literate skills that students need exposure to be successful when they arrive in kindergarten, and to continue to be successful as they learn to read, using music, art, movement, drama to get them ready to read, and then using those art forms to reinforce the comprehension. That's where I get really excited. And that brings us all the way back to how we do the professional development work with teachers, is helping them understand that in a really concrete way so they can take it into their classroom context, or they can take it into their after school program and make stories come to life through all of these senses and all of these tools. And so as parents, as grandparents, you can take that down to the level of just an exciting read aloud.
That's excellent, Debbie. Debbie, we had so much fun learning about the deep dive into the Lagoon with you today. One final time, the event is May 11th?
Yes, May 11th.
10:30
to 1:30 at the main library in Vero Beach.
And we expect everyone there. And for more information, they can visit the Learning Alliance website or the Moonshot website. We've been bringing that up throughout the show today. All right. Thank you, Debbie, for joining us.
Thank you.
And until next time, this has been Moonshot Radio, where every moment is an opportunity to learn.